we're talking about people now for a minute, I have a question about how important it is in our growing Michigan economy that we actually pay attention to diversity of all kinds as a critical factor, because I see us there taking huge steps backwards that I think are going to hurt us in the long run too. I think the new coming up talent that we want is not going to tolerate some of the social policy and being ignored like we are doing.
Well, let me respond quickly first and let Bob chime in. When I would give speeches in the Valley, what I would tell people is, yeah, there's venture capital, yeah, there's Stanford, yeah, there's all that, but it is one of the most welcoming places in the world from a diversity point of view. And I said, that's the ace in the hole that the Valley has, and I think other urban places do tend to be that way. You know, you would find people who were from different places halfway around the world with different religion and racial characteristics, and they would form a business together and they would be incredibly successful. One of the reasons I think that Ann Arbor has been successful over the last few decades is truly an international school. My wife is half Indonesian. When I was recruited here, she was struck by the quality of the Asian markets in Ann Arbor. And so I think you've put your finger on it. We need, I think the governor's on this as well. I want us to be a leader in immigration policy to attract as many people as we can from around the world. And the trick is that you have to truly have an open community that does accept views that might be different from their own. And that is a challenge in the middle part of the country. It just is.
Yeah, Paul's spot on that, of course. I think the governor deserves a lot of credit. I agree with you that he genuinely believes in the power of diversity as far as economic development, an important social tool for us to embrace. Lansing is waking up to realizing that we too are an international city. We're something like the 20th largest Chinese population in America. We're one of the 4th largest refugee centers in America, so on and so forth. And along with diversity, though, maybe the two more critical words are, you said welcoming, yes, and also inclusiveness. That it's maybe a lot of communities and companies talk about diversity. That's maybe not the point anymore. Is are you genuine about it? Is it truly welcoming? Is it truly an inclusive and participatory environment and culture? And there are key areas, and I think that again suggests, urban areas and probably university towns and that sort of thing. That's where our strengths are, and I deeply believe in revising our immigration policies as well.
Excellent. Yes.
The question I have is in regards to what we've all read and heard recently on the news about the massive infusion of governmental funds in the facility for rare isotope production at MSU. And I would just like to hear your specific comments, if you concur with the economic development projections of what we're reading, and how that might be, in fact, transformational and catalytic in economic development for the area in the 10 and 20-year period out.
Yeah, hey Jim. Well, the Facility for Rare Isotope Beams, otherwise known as FRIB, we can't call it FRIB anymore, we used to at the very beginning, but FRIB is an amazing policy and really the direction that government needs to go. And I think it goes in a little bit of my discussion about you got to do what's right as far as investment and policy development. It's a little difficult to measure and explain the purpose and even what it is. I mean, let alone the value to everyday people. And yet, this is a prime example. Countries around the world, especially in France, there's the CERN, there's the fusion. I forget the name of the massive fusion plant, actually being built in France, and other examples. We saw one announcement yesterday about particle development, understanding the cosmos even deeper, and expanding universe. And all these things matter because you develop particles that then can treat tumors inside your body more effectively to prevent or kill cancer in you. I mean, that's somehow to bluntly rationalize it down to the daily benefit to people itself. But this is a model that we've got to embrace more, and money is short and budgets are super tough. I think the federal government is only probably beginning to touch in that. The states have suffered through it for a long time. Most of the money, of course, comes from the federal government. The effort is supported by the state, though. Is you've got to make major investment in research and development, just like you should be making major investment in infrastructure. And that these things will ultimately pay off. The statement in the video about the fertile ground, where the classic fertile ground where things grow. So the Ippsr is going to be one of the most important man-made machines ever in human history. It's located in our backyard, but it will have statewide and, of course, global impact. The construction jobs are going to be huge because the construction itself has to be innovated as the construction is actually going on itself. And all the parts that need, and there can't be a mistake ever or switching how things are changed on the construction site itself. And then it's about talent. The Ippsr, by the way, Paul has already recruited about 200 of top nuclear scientists in the world, and is projected to recruit 1,000 plus of the. But along with them come spouses and families, and it does come down to actually, believe it, unbelievably, the soccer leagues and stuff like that. A high-end shopping place for the spouse, a great downtown metropolitan environment, diversity, inclusion. I mean, my God, these things are all there again. So the Ippsr is going to be a real. Oh, and then finally, our job at LEAP. It's not really the university's responsibility, but LEAP is taking it on. We have an accelerator committee that meets every month, and we are determined, Jim, over the next 10 to 20 years, to truly build a whole industry around it. I think it has a lot to do with lasers and magnets. That's my guess, and of course, this particle development activity. And these are very high-end jobs, and they will have huge impact in our community. As Paul was saying, though, it's tough. It's maybe not the direct job creation part of it, though. I think we have to be careful about talking about that. It may be the number of businesses. You hit pay dirt with at least one of them, and it's about the overall benefit to our region contributing more and more to us becoming a global community.
It's one of the things that's so exciting about Fred. Good job, Bob. Very good. Is that it wasn't, it's really, it's been a unique model for a collaborative effort. So it's been regional, it's been national, yes, and it's been at so many different levels. And to succeed in that regard is very promising. It's just a major bright spot. So it requires big thinking, but there are people out there who helped put that package together and made it successful, that have a big vision for it.
And one of the things, just to comment from a perspective from outside, is that in today's global economy, communities and regions have to work very hard to differentiate themselves and build on assets that they have. So I applaud what's happening here, because that's what's happening. Too many times people go on trips to visit another community and they see what they're doing and say, okay, well, let's do that at home. And that never works. It's what your local asset base and what grows out of it. We're doing something similar. One of the key specialties of the University of Michigan is mobility and transportation. So we might have as many as 20,000 cars going around Ann Arbor with telemetry in it. That investment is to keep our place as the world's preeminent research region for automotive technology. Our big bet on a facility is, I mentioned Willow Run earlier. What we're going to try to do there is create a global testing facility, an open source global testing facility for connected and autonomous vehicles. That whole field requires a great deal of testing, standardization, all of it. We talk about, oh, the car is going to talk to another car. Well, how does a Volvo talk to a Mack truck, and when they're going 70 miles an hour? And who's controlling the network security to make sure that can't get hacked? So that future is coming, but what we're doing is similar to what this project is doing in Lansing. We're saying that's what we want to be, that's our global niche, and so we're trying to put together a consortium that's going to drive that kind of project. So that's what you see successful regions trying to do. What can you be good at that nobody else in the world is good at? And that's going to drive your economy.
Here's one of Paul's secrets that we don't know about the state of Michigan that he was referring to earlier, is MSU has the #1 nuclear physics program in the country, according to U.S. News and World Report. I think that would basically be a shock to 99% of the people in the state, but we're ranked just ahead of MIT.
So again, see my thought about Pure Michigan's great. Maybe we ought to use that same kind of marketing push for this kind of stuff.
Exactly. And that, what you described, yeah.
I'd like to hear from some of the young people in the audience. We've been talking a lot about you, and I'm wondering if you concur, and what are some of the questions you have. Also, what do you plan to do about helping to create those kinds of environments that attract and retain talent? I put you on the spot.
Put you on the spot.